What's going on, guys? On today's episode, we have a very special guest. Second time that he's actually been on the VersaTalks podcast. This guy I consider, an amazing friend. I consider him a brother. He gave VersaGym its first, franchising opportunity and helped us launch VersaGym in Dallas, Texas. Fast forward several years, he's back on the podcast. So introducing guys, Jalen Hayes from VersaGym, Dallas, Texas. How's it going, man?
Going good, brother. How you doing today, my man?
Hey, doing good, man. Doing good. So Jay, on this first segment, we're doing a 2-segment podcast. On this first segment, we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously your journey from being a personal trainer at a brick and mortar gym, right? Obviously being an employee to now being a 6-figure franchise owner with VersaGym, 6-figure business owner. How does that feel, man?
It feels great. That was a goal that I set for myself when I started being a part of the VersaGym team. And it was something that I really wanted to accomplish. I knew it would be tough. I knew there would be bumps in the road. But with your help and just keeping my head down through the times when they got tough, I was able to do it. Not my end goal. Now that I'm there, I definitely want to keep shooting higher. Not really satisfied where I'm at, but I might get to where I think I want to be next and still not be satisfied. So that's just kind of how this works. But I'm happy to be where I am, and I'm excited to see where I am this time next year.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, we're super proud of you here in Naples. I mean, for everything you've been able to accomplish. And, that's the thing. Anyone who I've met who has accomplished great things will say it over and over. And I mean, just a quick little, synopsis of, what I'm about to say is that one video of Kobe Bryant when he's up, 3-0 in the NBA finals, and he's got no look of satisfaction on his face whatsoever because he's like, job's
Mm-hmm.
not finished, right?
Job's not finished.
And it's the same thing, right? You reach that goal of 6 figures, and all of a sudden you realize that goals are just that. It gives you, things to work on, right? And once you hit that goal, you're like, okay, well, now what? Right. And then you're like,
Right.
well, I see where I can refine my business here. And I feel like I could probably do this maybe a tiny bit better. All right, let's go hire some employees. Let's go hire another trainer. Okay, maybe we add a new service, right, to my business. You start seeing little bits and pieces of, oh, I can refine this. I can refine this. And now the difference is that you've been getting better, 1% better every single day since you set the 6-figure goal, right? And over time, that adds up. Right. So now you're like 150% better, 100% better. And, I know what it took to get here. And now I see ways where maybe I can go to multiple 6 figures where, like, when you were doing, half of what you're doing now in revenue terms, maybe you didn't see a way to get to multiple 6 figures because it's too far away. But once you hit
Right.
that first goal, now you're like, I think I could hit it. There's other ways, right? So it starts opening up those doors. So it's super,
Right.
super, super exciting, right?
Definitely.
Awesome, man. What do you think in your life, has changed the most from when you were an employee at a gym, being a trainer, to now being your own business owner, and obviously being a successful franchise owner of VersaGym? What do you think of the biggest differences?
Um, I would say it would be I'm just I feel like I'm helping these people more than I was when I was working for a gym. I feel like on days where they would cancel, if they were coming to me, they're not doing that anymore because I'm going to them. So they're getting much better progress from the workouts that we're doing because we miss less frequently. I'm able to control the workouts that I give them, and I have full autonomy on what I have them do, the recommendations on food and all that. So the freedom to train them the way that I want to, and also the freedom to be able to maybe increase the value that I'm providing for them without having to raise the price that I charge them. That's working great for the both of us there. My clients are happy. I'm happy because I get to do things my way. And I think that the freedom from not having someone at the gym, like a manager or something, always looking over my shoulder or telling me to stick with the programs that they provide from Lifetime Fitness. Now I can just make my own workout program that I think might work better and tweak it to the client's needs versus having like cookie cutter program that I can't really veer off of because that's what the gym wants.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you obviously have pride in your business and the service that you provide to your clients, and you're confident that it can get them from point A to point B in terms of their fitness results, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. Anytime we do anything, right? Like so many times in today's day and age, like you see people that are attempting to get into business or attempting to get into entrepreneurship. They go online and they're like, okay, well, this person's doing drop shipping on Amazon. I'm going to try that. But they don't have any sense of pride for what they're doing, right? Their service is not different in any way to their buddy who's doing drop shipping on Amazon or whatever. Again, I'm just using this as an example. But I think there's something to be said when you're a business owner, you get up every day knowing like, man, it's a blessing to have the business that I have. It's a blessing to have the clients that I have that love me and love my business and buy into my programs. And it's a blessing to be able to impact people through this business and this business model, right? And that's the difference, right, between being just a employee at a gym and kind of adhering to their standards and their model, and then having your own business, right?
Hmm.
Especially like you said, where we get a lot less cancellations because we go to people's homes, so it's
Right.
a lot less excuses, right? So,
Yeah. Now I
um,
would say it feels more like I'm working for my client instead of working for the gym. Right. I'm able to change things around and give them the time slot that they wanted. I'm able to meet them at work for their lunch break if they have things going on in the evening, and we usually train in the evening. I'm able to accommodate my clients a lot better, and I feel that I'm not constrained by whatever rules the gym has and things like that. I'm able to put together the plan that I feel like is going to get my clients the results they're paying me for, and I don't have to worry about anyone else getting in the way of that, or the gym hours not being open during those times. I have complete freedom to just work for my client instead of working for the gym, and it's been working well for the both of us. So I love it.
awesome, man. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the mental aspect of, obviously when you're an employee at a business, like you expect that check every 15 days, right? And like you have no stress in terms of, hey, how many people are coming in the door, how many sales are we making, right? Like there's a lot less of that because when you're working for a big corporation, like they usually handle all of that, right? But obviously
Mm-hmm.
your earnings are definitely capped, right? For the amount of work that you do, your earnings are capped when you're an employee. That's just the truth of the matter, right? And so I think also in your old job, if I'm not mistaken, they also did sales for you, right? To a certain extent.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you could get you can get commission from selling training services to a client, but a different trainer is going to be the one training them. So they did incentivize the sales and things like that.
Gotcha. So, obviously you guys had some sort of minimum pay that, like, even if maybe you didn't get as many clients one month and the next, you would still get some sort of minimum pay there. So, like, talk about the difference between going from that environment to all of a sudden now you're a business owner, and every day when you wake up as a business owner, it's ground zero, right? You've made
Hmm.
$0 that day, and it's like completely on your shoulders, right? And the cool thing is, obviously, you're part of a franchise system, part of a franchise team where we're there to help you and support you and get you through those times, and provide feedback on what's worked on locations that were profitable. But explain that mindset shift of having to go from, hey, I know I have this much coming in no matter what for the most part, and then if I go
Right.
above and beyond, I know I can make more. But then going to, hey, I own this own business, I can earn as much as I want, but I got to put in the work every day to get there, right? It's a different feeling, right?
Right. Yeah. 100%. I think there's good and bad things about not having a plan B. For me, it was great because sometimes when people know that if they fail on something, there's something else to fall back on. They won't try as hard on the thing that they really want because if it doesn't work out, they'll be okay. But now with this, it's like if I if one of my clients quits, I don't have that $10 an hour to fall back on. There's no plan B. So if this didn't work, nothing was going to work, and that pressure I felt like personally is really good for me because I don't ever want to get complacent. I don't want to feel like I've reached my goals. Maybe on paper for the year I did, but still deep down, I know that there's much bigger goals that I've set for myself. And so having the constant pressure of knowing at any moment, if, if my quality of training goes down, that those clients could leave and I don't have any other source of major income, that pressure has been great for me. And it's something that I didn't necessarily feel at Lifetime because, like you said, you do have that hourly pay to fall back on in case you don't have a good week of training, in case you don't get anybody to sign up. There is that plan B. But when you're your own business owner, if you don't make it and if you don't get up and go put in the work, no one's going to do that for you. You're not going to have your boss jumping on your back trying to tell you that your sales numbers are too low. No one's going to get you out of bed when you have to get up in the morning. Like, it's all on you. And for some people, they don't do well with that. But for me, it's what I needed to just get up and put my head down and just focus and go. And so I think that pressure for me is good. And like they said, pressure makes diamonds. And so I think in order to accomplish something really, really big and great, there has to be some sort of pressure, whether that's maybe you won't get paid, maybe that's pressure that you put onto yourself of just having a huge fear of failure. But I think in order to accomplish something really big, it's either got to come from inside of you or from an outside source. And in this case, it's the fact that if I didn't show up that day for work, no one's going to come save me. No one's going to feel bad for me. It's all on me. And some people need that. And I'm one of those people.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And unfortunately, just the reality of it is that it's not for everyone. Unfortunately, like, not everyone is made to be a business owner, right? And there's a lot of benefits that being in a franchise system provides, but it's also not just a magic pill of, hey, buy this business and start it in your area and you're good. Like, it's a lot more that goes into it than that. But we're definitely very appreciative to have you in the company, be as hardworking and such a good ambassador, and kind of carrying the flag for VersaGym in Texas is really what you do. So that's super, super awesome. And then the other thing on that as well is, like, you have unlimited earning potential, right? And so the cool thing about being in a franchise, and this firsthand because we've already been working on it, is you hit that 6-figure goal. And then instead of just, saying, Jay, you're awesome, keep doing what you're doing, it's okay, what's the next step? And you and I have already been talking about, all right, how are we going to go even further than that, right? Because the reality is that there's unlimited amount of opportunities out there, unlimited amount of clients that need our help, right? I mean, you've probably already been experiencing that, where you get somebody that reaches out and they want to do 7 or 8 a.m. and I'm booked, I can't do 7 or 8. And that might be the only time that works for them on their schedule. So how do we get you to that next stage, right? And so when people are self-employed, right, and we get this where sometimes we hire someone in the company for one of our locations, and it's a trainer that was like, yeah, I was doing training on my own. I was making $50,000 a year. I thought that was pretty good, but I was stuck at 50,000. I was my own, self-employed contractor at a gym or whatever their case may be, but I was never able to move past 50 or 60,000 a year. I just either didn't have the drive, or I didn't know what to do, or I didn't have any mentors or whatnot. But when you're in a franchise system, it's like, okay, Jay, awesome, man. We're super proud of you. We're stoked. You're doing amazing. But now let's get you to the next level. And so you kind of have that little push of, all right, what's next? Let's get you, a second unit, or let's get you another trainer, or let's do stretch therapy, right? Always kind of pushing the envelope. Because the reality is, dude, you have your whole life ahead of you. I mean, you're a young, what is it, 26, 27?
27, yep.
27-year-old, guy that just did 6 figures with his own business. I mean, sky's the limit. And the cool thing is, and this is one of the reasons that I love business the most, is because when you have your own business, it is the craziest experience where, like, your flaws as a human being will be clear as day. It's like you just stripped down it. Oh, it's like you just stripped down in front of a mirror and you haven't been eating any meal prep and you haven't been working out, doing any cardio. You're like, oh my gosh, what is this? Well, it's the same thing when you own a business, right? And then my favorite thing is that the business has molded me more than I've molded the business, right? It
Mm-hmm.
taught me that consistency, that grind, that taking care of the clients, sticking with your clients through thick and thin, making sure they're hitting their goals, right? And so it's changed me as a person in the process of creating the business. Has changed me more than I've even changed it. And so that's really why I'm such a romantic about business, because I know what it can do for character. It's kind of like sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when sometimes in life, when you, like you said, when you don't give yourself a plan B, okay, um, it forces you to really get out of that comfort zone, right? Like you were saying. And it's like, I got to figure it out. There's no other alternative, right? And so that's what business has done for us. And we've seen it with you as well. So that's great, man. Um, so let's talk a little bit about this year, because obviously a lot of people that are listening to this are going to be like, dude, he did six figures. All right, what are the tips? What'd you do? What was different this year? So the first thing we're going to start with is marketing, right? So obviously you had a good year, and no surprise, you did more marketing this year than you've ever done, right? So talk a little bit about that, right? Obviously there's a lot of different components that went into your marketing. Go ahead and share some of those strategies.
I'd say the number one marketing strategy for me this year was definitely just trying to get in front of more people. I'd done the Instagram ads, Facebook ads. I did some of the door to door mail, different things like that, and didn't have a whole lot of success with that for some reason. And since I've tried new things, I think I know why. And to me, it feels like because people didn't have a face to put to the person that they thought was doing the mobile gym, or they would see me driving around in the trailer, but they didn't know who is that guy. And so a lot of times people buy people, they don't just buy your services. And so in order for them to want to sign up with me, they needed to know who I was. And so once I started going to grand openings for like a health clinic, or doing event for a meal prep company, and just going to businesses that made sense to partner with, and meeting the people that shopped there, and just partnering with them so that more people could see my face, I could talk to more people. I really think it was just putting myself out there, getting boots on the ground, and not relying on technology to build my business, and really putting that pressure on me to go out and do it, and really talk to these people face to face. That is what really changed the game for me this year. And I think that's why I had a lot more success than the prior years. It's just now in a town where I'm not from, in a state where I'm not from, people knew what VersaGym was, but they only saw the trailer. They didn't know anything else. And so once I got to meet them and have a conversation with them, and maybe just personalize the business a little bit more, it gained a lot more traction. And I've seen really good results from the in-person boots on the ground marketing.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I can sum that up is, that famous, saying from one of the executives at Lamborghini was Lamborghini doesn't do commercials, and the reason they don't do commercials is because their clients aren't sitting around watching TV. They're out
Mm-hmm.
destroying life, like completely
Right.
just, people that buy Lamborghinis are people that are well off, that know the value of a dollar, and that have made a lot of money in their time, right? And so the reality is that our clients are affluent clientele that value privacy and convenience. And sometimes those people, A, will not have social media, or two, aren't people that necessarily buy things because they saw it on social media, if that makes sense. So the digital marketing for us is really what we've seen is hit or miss. But the boots on the ground, the organic growth, which is collabing with other businesses, like you said, the grand openings of communities, all of those things lead to a lot of leads. And so we've
Mm-hmm.
seen that work really, really well for us, right? And the thing about us is when we do those events, we have the luxury of having the mobile gym where we can literally bring the business to that event, right? Where like other people with other franchises that are brick and mortar, you can set up a tent or whatever, but for them to get the real client experience, they got to go to your shop later on. And
Right.
that leads to a hurdle. Where for us, they can experience the real thing at this event, right?
Right.
So
Right then and there.
there's a lot less friction in the customer experience by doing some of that, boots on the ground marketing that we like to call it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's great. And that's obviously worked really, really well for you. Um, and then let's talk a little bit about client retention, because at a gym, you lose clients all the time. It's just the nature of the gym business. It's, you get people that come in, you don't really know how serious these people are, because most gym memberships, range anywhere between $10 to, $100 on average, right? I would say
Mhm.
probably the median gym membership is probably like $30 in the US. So you don't really know if these people can actually afford a personal trainer. So, you end up losing a lot of people. So you have to constantly attract new clients when you own a gym business, right? But with our
Mhm.
services, right, we have those affluent clients that really want the privacy and the conveniency of this service. So, in terms of client retention, what have you seen in 2024 and some of the best practices that you've instilled to retain your clients?
Yeah, yeah, no, I've actually been lucky enough to have clients for 4+ years, and I don't know if I would call it luck. I think there must be something I'm doing or providing for them that they like and that they feel like they still need, even after I've helped them reach their fitness goals and different things like that. I think just always showing up and providing a consistent service where they know what they're going to get when I get to their house. They're going to get their butt kicked. They're going to get a great workout, and then as soon as they're done, they can go walk inside and shower. It's just the fact that I give them consistency and I do it in a convenient way where they don't have to change a whole lot of things about their day. They don't have to move their schedule around. I come to them for 60 minutes, I'm gone, they go about their day. And I think just the consistency and the fact that I'm always providing what they're wanting from me has caused my clients to stick with me for so long. This year, especially, any I don't think I've lost any clients that signed up in January of 2024 until now. Like any client that I've met this year is still with me, and I have clients that have been with me since 2020 when I was working at the gym, 2022 when I started this. There's clients that have stuck with me the whole way, but I do see much less turnover with this service versus when they had to go through all those other obstacles to come to me. Now a lot of the hard part is taken out, and so it's much easier and, like you said, much more convenient for the client. And I think convenience helps them stick with it because it's not something that is hard for them to accomplish, because anything that's hard about it, we provide a service that takes that part out.
Yeah. And it's so funny because you started, talking about client retention saying, I don't necessarily know exactly what it is, but I just know I give them the service that they want and that they're looking for every single time. Well, there you
Yep.
go.
Right.
People
Answered it.
people
Yeah.
want what they pay for. And so what happens
Right.
with a lot of businesses is, they start this business relationship, they get paid, they do good for a month or 2 months or whatever, and the business owner is kind of getting demotivated, and then they go there and they stop doing the little things. They stop wiping the equipment,
Right.
they stop doing the massage gun, they stop, really listening to the client, right? Like if the client's saying, hey, I have hip pain, right? It's like, what sort of workout can I give them, A, to not aggravate the hip pain, and B, maybe even alleviate the hip pain? What can I do for them
Right.
in this moment to
Yeah.
go above and beyond, right? Really give that customer service. And for you, it's like you don't even realize you're doing it anymore, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Like,
happens to me, right? I don't even realize that
yeah.
I do it anymore. I just do it, and then I'm like, just another day in the office is the way I look at it,
Right.
right? Um,
Right.
but obviously, you're doing it because if not, no one's going to pay over $1,000 a month for a service that they don't like, right?
Right.
So that is pretty indicative of how well someone is doing with their business, right? If you're constantly having clients that leave, A, your business doesn't provide enough value, or B, it's not what the client paid for, right?
Right.
So that's awesome, man, and you've done
Yeah.
amazing this year with that. So, um, in terms of operational efficiency, we started this year with you getting like a small office space at a co-working site. Talk a little bit about your efficiency this year, differences between the last several years and this year.
Everything started to change. And I think that just having it an office somewhere else to where when I'm training my clients from maybe 6 a.m. until noon, and usually I'd go home from 12 to 2. Well, if that office is right next to where I finished my last client at, I'll just go to that office, do some work on my laptop that I would have never done when I went home. Yeah, I could pull my laptop out if I go home, but the odds of me doing that are much lower because there's so many other easier things that I could do, like sit on the couch, go on TikTok. It was too easy to do something else instead of what I knew I should be doing, and so I had to set the environment and get rid of more of the variables in order to focus the way that I needed to. And once I started doing that, I noticed a huge effect on my business, and also the client satisfaction, because I was doing even more. They were already happy with the service, but then I said, hey, I updated your at home workouts. I know you only had these last ones for 2 weeks, but I just wanted to make sure that you didn't get bored. And then if you ever wanted to do something else, here's more options for you. They lit up happy as ever. And I wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have created those 2 hours in my day to sit down on this laptop, to not go home and just chill. I set it up that way because I knew that that's something that I needed to do if I wanted to keep seeing progress in my financial life and in my
Yeah.
business.
And those are the hurdles, right? With having a home based franchise business, right? Because technically we are home based. You can be an owner operator, own one of our franchises, and you can run everything out of your house, and you can park the trailer in your parking lot or in your driveway, and you're home based, which is awesome for revenue at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have that overhead of having a gym. But the downside is, if you don't, like you said, discipline to set that 2 hours aside to work on your business, you're constantly
Mm-hmm.
stuck working in your business. And sometimes things can fall through the cracks. Things like bookkeeping, things like marketing, things like, going above and beyond for your clients, like you just said, right? Those are the little things this year that you really perfected. And like you're saying, um, sometimes, it's like fitness. It's not necessarily that you are the most disciplined person in the world because you have a six pack. But what it means is that you were able to place yourself in an environment, right? And if you know you need to lose 15 pounds for a bodybuilding show or for a photo shoot, I don't go out to eat with my buddies before the basketball game. I meet them at the
Mm-hmm.
basketball game. I don't go out to eat with them because all these guys eat is burgers, fries, and beer. So I skipped that day, right? So I didn't even put myself in the position to be tempted. Well, that's the same thing that we
Mm-hmm.
did with the office scenario, right? We told franchisees, hey, you have to be in an office, okay, until you hit certain revenue marks. And when they hit it, then they could, have the choice of, hey, whether they could be in office or at home. But sort of
Mm-hmm.
taking out that, uh, you know, this discipline and decision making of, okay, do I just hang out for 2 hours or do I work on the business for 2 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that's huge for sure.
Right.
What are some advice? What is some advice that you would have just for like personal trainers that want to start their own business? Maybe some that are considering franchising or entrepreneurship.
Um, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of things that I would say, but um, probably the most important one would be just to try to do the right thing when you know no one's watching, whether that is your clients, whether that's a friend or family member that tries to push you to be better. You got to be able to do the right stuff and do the work that you need to do, even when no one's ever going to know about it. No one's going to know if you did it or not. It's just something that you know you need to do to get where you want to be. Um, and it's something maybe you don't like to do. Maybe it takes a long time, very something that's super tedious, but to get from where you're at to where you want to be, that's something you need to do. You have to be able to count on yourself to keep those promises to yourself, to do the things you're supposed to do that you might not want to do. I think that is something that I, in the beginning, struggled with, is not having someone always on my back, pushing me, saying, hey, go to your clients at 7, don't be late. Hey, you need to make sure you wipe down the weights, make sure everything's clean in front of your clients. Like just the little things that go a long way. I wasn't necessarily doing all the time. And as soon as I started showing up 24/7 and wiping down the weights, even if they weren't looking, it's nice to have them see it. Could keep everything super clean. But even when they weren't paying attention, I always made sure that I did the right things, whether they would know about it or not. And so I think that is a skill that someone who wants to start their own personal training business or franchise with us or something would need to have, is the ability to do the right thing when no one's watching, and to keep your promises to yourself.
Yeah. It reminds me of that saying, we don't create our futures, we create our habits, and our habits create our future. Right. And it's the same thing. You sitting here on this podcast, December 2024, being a 6-figure VersaGym business owner is no accident. Like it doesn't just,
Right.
it wasn't luck. It wasn't like, oh, all of a
No.
sudden more people moved into your town and you got hired. Like that's not at all what happened. It's you waking up every single day and doing those little things. And those little things add up over time, not just in your business, but also in who you are as a person, as an individual, as a business owner, right? And then fast forward 12 months, it's a pretty darn neat result, right? Like you're sitting here and you're like, darn, like maybe January 1st, you had 100 million doubts as to whether you were going to be sitting here today, right? And the reality is that you are. And now the cool thing about it is it becomes very addicting to continuously set the bar higher in terms of your standards. And really all it comes back to is your standards, what you're willing to tolerate from yourself and what you're willing to tolerate in terms of your business, right? And it's really cool because before you can get employees, stretch therapists, whatever our next move is, you need to have that standard ready to go, right? So like 2 years ago, you were nowhere near ready to hire somebody, right? Because you need to build that foundation. And now you have a clear understanding and clear standard, and you can be that example for your employee so they know exactly what's expected from them and how to uphold the VersaGym brand and everything that we try to do. Because ultimately, the VersaGym brand, the trainers, the franchise owners is just pieces of the puzzle to delivering the best service possible to the clients. We're all just pieces of the puzzle, but the ultimate thing, the thing that matters the most is having a bunch of happy clients. And when we start and end every question with how do we have a lot of happy customers and clients in VersaGym, everything else falls in place, So that's awesome, man. We're super proud of you. You're wrapping up 2024 super strong, and we're definitely going to obviously have to have you back because then next year, obviously, you're going to be reaching for even more higher goals. So super proud of you, man. And we're actually going to wrap up this podcast episode, and we're going to move into our second segment.